The Chinese Communist Party, 100 later on in the week, is facilitating surveillance and intimidation of Chinese students on Australian university campuses. A shocking new report from international NGO Human Rights Watch has found pro-democracy Chinese students have been harassed here in Australia, with one student claiming Chinese state police threatened his mother's safety after he attended a pro-democracy protest in 2019. For his reaction, I'm joined now by the leader of One Nation in New South Wales, Mark Latham. These are appalling revelations, Mark. We've long sort of talked about the rumours. Pretty concrete report. How should the government respond?
Well, the government should respond in a very purposeful way. We can't allow this to happen in Australia. And I would have thought out of the Drew Pavlou disgrace, the way he was treated at Queensland University and some of the harassment he's had to put up with, it's pretty clear that we went overboard for many, many years in Australia with universities over-reliant on Chinese foreign student income. And here in New South Wales, Sydney and New South Wales universities both got to near 30% of their total revenue came from Chinese foreign students. So that's an over-reliance that's compromised, just about every aspect of university activity, Peter, whether you're talking about surveillance of Chinese students, intimidation, compromising researchers, attempts to steal our research, running down the quality of tutorials and lectures to cater for the overseas income. I mean, this was one massive problem. And it's just a reminder to us that as we come out of this COVID period, there should be no automatic reset of these overseas student numbers to go back to where we were. The truth is the universities were using this over-reliance on foreign income to build up their research entitlement. It artificially inflated their international standing and inflated the Vice-Chancellor's income. I think it would be wise to put a cap on the overseas income, particularly out of China, and start to limit the capacity of the Chinese Communist Party to wreak havoc in our university sector.
Yeah, what price our sovereignty? I mean, that's what it comes down to, and you're right to call them out and say that there can't be an automatic return to business as usual. I've got to ask you about news tonight, bad to worse for the poor old Tasmanian new Labor leader David O'Byrne. After a photo emerged of O'Byrne wearing a Good Communist T-shirt, well, he stepped down pending an investigation into inappropriate conduct when he was a union representative. Now, this was a T-shirt I showed to my viewers last night. Basically said, good communists aren't made by reading manifestos, etc. I'm paraphrasing it. Good communists are made with their fists. I tell you what, Mark, it's not good inside Tasmanian Labor, is it?
No, it's far left. It's extremism, the like of which, you wouldn't expect in 2021 there'd be an opposition leader in Australia who was photographed, or this photograph's come to light, wearing a communist T-shirt with the clenched fist, the sort of militant power symbol next to his sister Michelle O'Byrne, who's also a frontbencher in Tasmanian Labor. So I get the impression, Peter, that the revolution's not about to start in downtown Launceston or Hobart. These people are off with the pixies in engaging this sort of extremist politics. It'll always be rejected by the Australian people. And Tasmanian Labor's gone so far to the left, it's a huge problem. There was talk of federal intervention after their shocking defeat in the recent state election. So Albanese there in Canberra has got some problems to sort out in Tassie, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah, and they're in administration, of course, in Victoria and run by the hard left, positions on Israel. We can see all of that out of the national executive. It's extraordinary, Mark. It's not the Labor Party that you joined as a young man.
No, I always say in New South Wales Parliament these days, if you want to define what I'm on about with One Nation, we're 1980s Labor, which was a golden period of Labor government where they had common sense economic policies, a sense of proper progress, mainstream policies for suburban and regional Australia without getting obsessed with extremism, identity politics, BC, off there with the climate change cult. I mean, Labor has moved so far away from the mainstream. There's still a lot of good Labor material there, but it's from the 80s and 90s, and unfortunately, the current crop of politicians have pretty well forgotten it.
You're not wrong, Mark Latham. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Peter.